And April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. It's a month dedicated to raising awareness and fostering community, family, and social support systems that ensure healthy child development and safety. It's an initiative that highlights the importance of protective factors and action-oriented efforts to prevent child maltreatment. In fiscal year 2025, Texas completed over 135,000 CPI investigations that resulted in over 50,000 confirmed victims of child abuse. And joining us now live from the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services is Victoria Colon. Ms. Colon, thank you so much for joining us here on the program. Your department recently released those numbers for fiscal year 2025. Kind of want to take a deeper dive into those numbers. We saw over 1,000 confirmed victims of child abuse and neglect just here in El Paso County, over 50,000 confirmed victims in the state of Texas. My question for you is just, how are these cases handled, investigated, and just how prevalent is this in our community?
Hi, Andy. Thanks for having me. So yeah, just to answer your question, those cases are handled first by making a report, right? And so once we receive that intake, then we'll send out one of our staff to go meet with the family and assess the situation. Maybe we just need to get that family some help, and that's something that we can do. When you're looking at like the numbers and the statistics based on the child population in our community, that's 5 for every 1,000 children. And so obviously, like, our agency would like to see those numbers at 0 because we don't want to have to deal with any child abuse or neglect, but it does happen. And so that's what our agency is here for, to really assess those situations and get these families the help that they need.
I also noticed the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services completed over 3,000 investigations in El Paso County into child abuse or neglect. What are some of the factors that might explain why only half of these cases that were investigated wound up being confirmed victims?
Well, like I said, once our staff goes out there and assesses the family, we can help determine what is really going on in the home. Sometimes, you know, I think in El Paso, the big thing is that there's 3 issues. It's poverty, substance abuse, mental health. And so if those all 3 kind of correlate, then that can lead to maybe abuse or neglect, and mostly neglect. What we don't realize, I think, is that out of those 1,000 confirmed cases here in El Paso, 80% of that is actually neglectful supervision. So what does that come down to? That can be just not watching your child, maybe neglecting medical attention, and some things like that. So we can really get out there and refer these families to services. Sometimes it's maybe what's coming between removing kids from a home and leaving them in the home is a dirty home. And so we'll help that family with cleaning supplies to get that home cleaned up, and then we can leave those children in that home. Maybe it's getting a family assistance with getting to a visit, and so that's when we can maybe provide bus tokens or things like that. So it's really about resources that are available to the community and getting them, again, the help that they need so that they can be strong, thriving families.
And you bring up some excellent points. I want to take a little bit of a deeper dive. The root causes, like you just mentioned, of child abuse or neglect, they're so far wide-ranging. But from what I understand, your goal, if possible, and of course, if safe, is to keep families together. Some of those resources that you just mentioned, how successful are those in trying to keep that family connected and stay in the home?
Yeah, so it really is just a community effort, right? It comes down to really being aware of the resources that are available to families, where we can refer them out to get that help. Maybe they need mental health and we can refer them to mental health agencies, or maybe they're fighting some substance abuse and we can refer them to a partnering agency with us as well that provides that substance abuse help. Again, poverty, you know, there's food banks within the community that we can refer them to. Maybe they're facing some insecurity, some food insecurity. And so those are the resources that we want to really be aware of. And again, it's a community effort. So we want to make sure that we really work together alongside all of our partners and make sure that those resources are available to families when they need them.
A lot of great resources. It's such a sensitive topic, right? Because we're talking about the most vulnerable population in our community, and oftentimes you can see child abuse even covered up by perpetrators. Are there certain signs that people should be on the lookout for? And maybe even more importantly, what should people do if they suspect child abuse or neglect in some cases?
Right. My biggest suggestion to the community is if you suspect child abuse or neglect, even if you don't think maybe it comes down to abuse, right? Again, we talked about neglect, and that could be facing food insecurity. I just urge the community to make that report, let our team go out and assess what's going on, and then we can get them the help that they need. And so if you're making a report, you can make those reports by phone. The number is 1-800-252-5400. Reports can also be made online, but those are also non-urgent reports. So if you're making a report, say for something like food insecurity, I would make that report online. Those don't get seen for 48 hours after they're made. So if it's something really, really urgent, I really urge you to make the report by phone. And again, that phone number is 1-800-252-5400.
And there are cases that sometimes result in in-home services to children and their families, like we have discussed. In other cases, it ends up that children are ultimately happen to be placed in foster care. Not something that you want to see, but it does happen. Is there currently a need in El Paso for foster families, and what other ways can El Pasoans get involved with your department?
Absolutely. There's definitely a need in El Paso for foster parents. And if somebody is interested in fostering or fostering to adopt, they can get in touch with myself. We can put them in contact with the right people here. They have informational meetings twice a month for anybody that's interested. And then as far as getting involved with us, you know, we have a lot of resources here in the office. We have what's called a Rainbow Room. It's a 24-hour resource room where caseworkers get things out of there that meet basic needs of children, and they give those to our clients. We need to keep that room stocked. So we have things like hygiene, cleaning supplies, clothing. Sometimes when we remove children, we need to provide them clothing. And of course, that's our last resort, right? We don't want to remove kids from their families. Our goal is always to maintain families and keep them together. But it does happen, and so when that happens, we need to be prepared and have those resources available. There's also volunteer opportunities with our agency, and then just really getting educated. You know, prevention is so important, but it's only possible through education. So really getting to know those resources and how you can help. And I'm so proud of working for this agency because I feel like it really is a community effort, and we're really, really determined to stay true to our vision, which is those strong, safe children, safe families, stronger communities, and stronger Texas. So it really just is so important to be educated and get that education so that we can work together to prevent child abuse and neglect.
Yeah, and I'm sure such a rewarding experience for that as well. Ms. Colon, thank you so much for the information and your time coming on the program. We certainly do appreciate you and your work there at the department.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You bet. That is Victoria Colon with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. And don't go anywhere. We have more KTSM 9 News coming up right after this short break.